Welcome to a tour of Macedon in 148 BC, a land standing on the precipice of its greatest transformation. For centuries, this was the kingdom that gave the world Alexander the Great, a realm whose armies once stretched from Greece to India, whose culture shaped the very fabric of the ancient world. Now, through advanced AI technology, we've transformed ancient engravings, historical descriptions, and archaeological evidence into photorealistic scenes that will transport you back to the final days of Macedonian independence. In 148 BC, Macedon was a shadow of its former glory, yet still a land of remarkable contrasts. Here, the descendants of warrior kings still lived in marble palaces, adorned with frescoes and gold, while common farmers and miners toiled under the weight of endless tribute and war. The cities still hummed with Greek philosophy and art, but Roman legions now cast their shadow across the land. Today, we'll walk through the streets of Pella, the ancient capital. We'll visit the royal palace where Philip II once planned his conquests, explore the bustling agora where merchants hawked their wares, and witness the mines where countless slaves extracted the wealth that built an empire. But our journey will culminate in the most dramatic moment of all, the final confrontation between Macedonian freedom and Roman domination, a battle that would end 4 centuries of independence and reshape the Mediterranean world forever. The Royal Palace at Pella. This is the Royal Palace of Pella, once the beating heart of the Macedonian kingdom. Even in 148 BC, decades after the glory days of Alexander, the palace complex remains a breathtaking sight. The vast courtyard stretches before us, surrounded by colonnade porticos with painted Doric columns. The ground beneath our feet is an intricate mosaic, a masterpiece depicting Dionysus riding a panther, composed of thousands of tiny pebbles in vibrant reds, blacks, and whites. The palace was more than a residence. It was a statement of power. The Grand Andron, or banquet hall, could host hundreds of guests. Its walls were covered in frescoes showing mythological scenes and hunting expeditions, while the floor featured another stunning mosaic, the famous lion hunt of Alexander and his companion Craterus. In the private quarters, the royal family once enjoyed heated floors, private baths fed by an advanced plumbing system, and windows glazed with thin sheets of mica that filtered the harsh Mediterranean sun. But by 148 BC, the palace has lost its former occupants. After Rome defeated King Perseus at the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC, Macedon was divided into 4 puppet republics. The palace stands semi-abandoned, its treasures looted, its halls echoing with the ghosts of vanished kings. Roman officials now use parts of it as an administrative center, their togas a stark contrast to the purple cloaks of Macedonian royalty that once swept these floors. You can almost smell the incense that once burned in the palace shrines, hear the laughter of symposium guests reclining on couches, discussing philosophy over wine. You can imagine the clash of bronze weapons in the training yard where young nobles learned the art of war. Today, the Palace of Pella lies in ruins near the modern Greek village of the same name. Archaeological excavations have uncovered those magnificent mosaics, now housed in the Pella Archaeological Museum. The columns have fallen, the frescoes faded to dust, but you can still walk among the foundations and feel the weight of history beneath your feet. The Agora, heart of daily life. This is the Agora of Pella, the bustling marketplace and civic center where the pulse of everyday Macedonian life beats strongest. The rectangular plaza stretches out before us, surrounded by stoas, covered walkways with shops built into their rear walls. The morning sun illuminates the scene as hundreds of people converge on this space. In one corner, farmers from the surrounding countryside have set up temporary stalls, their wooden carts piled high with olive oil in large amphorae, fresh-caught fish from the nearby Thermaic Gulf, and baskets overflowing with grain, figs, and grapes. A cheese merchant haggles loudly with a customer in the Macedonian dialect of Greek, their animated gestures filling the air. The smell is overwhelming, a mixture of fresh bread from the baker's stall, the pungent odor of fish left too long in the sun, the earthy scent of vegetables, and the acrid smell of tanned leather from the cobbler's workshop. But the Agora isn't just for commerce. Under the colonnade, philosophers gather with their students, debating the teachings of Aristotle, himself a Macedonian from nearby Stagira. A public scribe sits at a small table, writing letters for the illiterate for a few bronze coins. Children dart between the columns, playing games while their mothers shop. The social hierarchy is visible everywhere. Wealthy landowners in fine woolen chitons, their slaves following behind carrying purchases, brush past common laborers in rough tunics stained with honest sweat. Greek merchants from Athens and Corinth negotiate deals with local traders, their accents and sophisticated manners marking them as outsiders. And always, there are Roman soldiers. Not many, but enough to remind everyone who truly holds power now. In the metalworking quarter of the agora, you can hear the rhythmic clang of hammers on anvils as smiths forge tools, weapons, and household items. The heat from their furnaces adds to the warmth of the day. Meanwhile, in the pottery section, wheels spin endlessly as artisans shape clay into amphorae, plates, and decorative vases, some painted with the traditional Macedonian star. Today, nothing remains of Pella's agora on the surface. The city was gradually abandoned after Roman times, its stones carried away to build other structures. Modern archaeologists have excavated portions of the marketplace, revealing the ancient layout and some artifacts. But the vibrant life that once filled these spaces exists now only in our reconstructions and imaginations. The mines of Mount Pangaeon. This is Mount Pangaeon, located to the east of Macedon proper, a place of unimaginable wealth and unspeakable suffering. The mountainside is scarred with the dark mouths of mine shafts, from which flows the gold and silver that funded Alexander's conquests and sustained the Macedonian kingdom for generations. Descending into one of these mines is like entering the underworld itself. The narrow tunnel, barely wide enough for a man to walk upright, extends deep into the mountain. The air grows thick and hard to breathe, heavy with dust and the smell of sweat and fear. Oil lamps flicker on the walls, casting dancing shadows that make the confined space feel even more claustrophobic. The workers here are slaves, men captured in war, debtors, criminals, and the simply unfortunate. They work in shifts that can last 12 hours or more, chipping away at the rock face with iron picks and hammers. The constant percussion creates a hellish symphony that echoes through the tunnels. Some miners carry baskets of ore on their backs up steep ladders to the surface. Others work the primitive washing stations, where gold-bearing ore is separated from worthless rock. The mortality rate is staggering. Cave-ins are common, burying workers alive under tons of rock. The dust damages lungs, leading to a slow, suffocating death. Beatings from overseers keep the pace brutal. Many miners never see sunlight again after being sent below. Their average life expectancy can be measured in months, not years. Yet this suffering produces extraordinary wealth. The gold extracted here was minted into coins that circulated throughout the Mediterranean world. Philip II used this wealth to bribe Greek city-states and fund his military machine. The mines produced perhaps 1,000 talents of silver per year at their peak, enough to pay for an army of tens of thousands. By 148 BC, production has declined from its zenith, but the mines still operate under new management. The Romans, always practical, have assessed the value of these operations and ensured they continue running. Some of the profits now flow to Rome rather than a Macedonian treasury. Today, abandoned mine shafts still dot the Mount Pangaeon region in northern Greece. Many have collapsed or been sealed for safety, but some have been explored by archaeologists and adventurous visitors. The gold that once seemed inexhaustible has long since been depleted, but the human cost of extracting it lingers in the historical record as a reminder of the price of empire. The Gymnasium, training ground of citizens. This is one of Pella's gymnasia, an institution that defines Greek and Macedonian culture. The large open courtyard is surrounded by covered porticos, with rooms for various activities branching off to the sides. Unlike the crowded agora, there's a sense of space and order here, though the air is filled with the sounds of physical exertion. Young men, citizens of good standing, exercise in the nude, their bodies glistening with olive oil as they practice wrestling, boxing, and the pankration, a brutal form of mixed combat. In one corner, boys run sprints while their trainer shouts encouragement and criticism. In another, older men throw the discus and javelin, preparing for the athletic competitions that remain central to Greek culture. But the gymnasium is more than just a place for physical training. In the covered walkways, teachers instruct students in rhetoric, mathematics, music, and philosophy. The education here produces not just warriors, but well-rounded citizens who can debate in the assembly, appreciate poetry, poetry and understand geometry. This is the system that shaped Alexander himself, who studied under Aristotle at the Gymnasium of Mieza. The social function is equally important. This is where the bonds of citizenship are forged, where young men form the relationships that will sustain them through military campaigns and political careers. Older men serve as mentors and lovers to younger ones in a socially sanctioned practice that scandalized later Roman and Christian observers, but was considered normal in Greek culture. The walls are decorated with inscriptions, lists of victors in athletic competitions, dedications to Hermes and Heracles, the patron deities of the gymnasium. A statue of Alexander in heroic nudity dominates one courtyard, a reminder of the glory days when Macedonian athletes competed at Olympia and Delphi as equals of the Greeks. By 148 BC, the gymnasium continues to function, but there's an underlying tension. The Romans, who have conquered Macedon, have different values. They find the Greek custom of nude exercise somewhat absurd and the pederastic relationships morally questionable. Roman boys train in the Campus Martius, focusing on military drill rather than all-around development. The cultural clash is subtle but growing. Today, excavations at Pella and other Macedonian cities have uncovered the foundations of several gymnasia. The institution itself, of course, gave us the modern word gymnasium, though its meaning has shifted. The holistic Greek ideal of developing body, mind, and character together has largely been lost, replaced by specialized institutions for physical education or intellectual study, but rarely both. The uprising of Andriscus, the Fourth Macedonian War. Now we come to the moment that will define 148 BC and seal Macedon's fate forever. The rebellion of Andriscus, sometimes called the Pseudo-Philip, and the Fourth Macedonian War. The preconditions for this uprising had been building for 20 years. After the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC, Rome had divided Macedon into 4 separate republics, forbidden them to interact economically or through marriage, and extracted heavy tribute. The Macedonian people, proud heirs to Alexander's legacy, chafed under this humiliation. The economy stagnated. Old noble families saw their privileges disappear. Veterans of Perseus's army, now aging, told bitter stories to their sons about the lost glory of independence. Into this volatile situation stepped Andriscus, a man claiming to be Philip, the son of King Perseus, a son most historians believe never existed. Whether Andriscus genuinely believed his own claim or was simply a brilliant con artist remains debated to this day. What matters is that thousands of Macedonians believed him, or wanted to believe him, because he offered something Rome had taken away: hope. In 149 BC, Andriscus appeared in Thrace with a small band of followers. His timing was perfect. Rome was distracted by the Third Punic War in Africa and the Achaean War in southern Greece. The 4 Macedonian republics, weakened and divided, couldn't mount effective resistance. Within months, Andriscus had conquered all of Macedon, reunited the fractured republics, declared himself King Philip VI, and begun minting coins with his image. For a brief, glorious moment, the Macedonian kingdom was reborn. Cities celebrated in the streets, the old royal diadems and purple cloaks emerged from hiding. Veterans of Pydna, now in their 60s, took up arms one final time for their homeland. Temples made sacrifices to Zeus and to the deified Alexander, praying for victory. But the dream couldn't last. In 148 BC, Rome finally turned its full attention to the Macedonian problem. The praetor Quintus Caecilius Metellus arrived with 2 full legions and auxiliary forces. The Roman military machine, perfected over centuries of conquest, moved into action with terrifying efficiency. The decisive battle occurred near Pydna, the same location where Perseus had been defeated 2 decades earlier. It was as if history had chosen to inscribe its verdict on the same ground. Andriscus commanded a force of desperate Macedonians, many poorly equipped, their phalanx formation incomplete, their cavalry outnumbered. They fought with the fury of men who knew this was their last stand. The Roman legions, by contrast, moved like a single organism. Their manipular formation gave them flexibility the rigid phalanx lacked. When the Macedonian pikemen charged, the Romans gave ground, then attacked from the flanks. The battle became a slaughter. Thousands of Macedonians died on that field, their blood soaking into soil that had seen too many of their countrymen fall. Andriscus fled but was captured shortly after. He was taken to Rome in chains, paraded through the streets in Metellus's triumph, and then executed. The traditional Roman fate for defeated enemy leaders. With his death, the last flicker of Macedonian independence was extinguished. The Roman response was brutal and final. Macedon was no longer divided into republics. It became a province, directly administered by a Roman governor. Heavy garrisons were stationed throughout the land. The Egnatian Way, a Roman road, was constructed to facilitate military movement and control. The mines were placed under direct Roman supervision, their profits flowing to Rome's treasury. Today, the battlefield near Pydna is farmland, giving no hint of the desperate struggle that occurred there. But the consequences of that battle ripple through history. Rome's annexation of Macedon was a turning point, the moment when the Roman Republic truly became an empire, when the Eastern Mediterranean fell decisively under Latin control. The date 148 BC marks not just the fall of a kingdom, but the end of the Hellenistic Age and the beginning of Roman dominance that would last for centuries. Conclusion. Behind the grand facades of marble palaces and beneath the sophisticated philosophy discussed in the Agora, the history of Macedon in 148 BC reveals a fundamental truth about empires. They rise through ambition and fall through the same force. The very military brilliance that allowed Philip and Alexander to conquer the known world made Macedon a target for the next ambitious power. Yet Macedon's legacy didn't die with its independence. Greek language and culture, spread by Alexander's conquests and maintained by Macedonian cities, would profoundly influence Rome itself. Roman elites studied Greek philosophy, hired Greek tutors, and collected Greek art. The fusion of Greek and Roman civilization, what we call Greco-Roman culture, would define the Mediterranean world for the next 1,000 years. The ruins at Pella, the excavated gymnasia, the ancient mines, these silent witnesses remind us that history is built by real people. The kings who dreamed of empire, the philosophers who questioned everything, the miners who suffered in darkness, the soldiers who fought for a freedom they would never see. Their world is lost, but through archaeology, historical texts, and now AI reconstruction, we can glimpse what they saw, feel what they felt, and understand the choices they made. If you enjoyed this journey through Macedon in 148 BC, please comment below what city and what era you'd like to see next. Should we explore Alexandria in its prime under the Ptolemies? Walk through Constantinople as it falls to the Ottomans? Or witness revolutionary Paris in 1789? Your suggestions guide our travels through time. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the past.